Hi there, welcome back. My name is Sheldon McLeod. This is Thinking Out Loud. It's presented to you here exclusively on the Saltwire Network, and there's lots we could be talking about, but I really wanted to talk about the film industry in Nova Scotia. As we know, back in the spring budget, as my colleague Stephen Cook wrote up on saltwire.com, Nova Scotia has spent $23 million to boost the province's film industry, film and TV production. It was impacted in a lot of ways by a lot of things, but I was very excited to hear that there are a lot of things, a lot of shoots underway, and I'm still signed up for emails from Hennessey Casting. And that was an adventure I took, probably 8-9 years ago now. And it was a lot of fun. And I want to speak with Erin Hennessey about what the state of the industry is and all of that. And Erin, thank you so much for joining us and helping talk a little bit about this exciting opportunity for people.
Hello, Sheldon. Nice to see you face. Thanks for having me on.
I remember I signed up for and created a profile and signed up for the emails, and I'm still getting emails about productions that are underway, like Moonshine. Others are not described. We don't know who the production companies are. So what is it that you can say about the industry, the state of the industry for film and television in Nova Scotia right this very moment?
We are gangbusters. We've been incredibly busy. I haven't stopped since March. Like, that's no days off. That's like just straight on. So much so many things are happening here right now, and so many shows, and it's great. And I think that also quite a few people have come back, either moved back here, like we're talking about, like crew members or actors have moved back here, or are now just sort of coming back to work on shows and then going back to wherever they moved to when all the, before they left. So that's great. So we're sort of building back our community. We are back. We hauled it out of the ashes, and now it's just a matter of trying to keep up with the demand and the number of shows that are happening here.
Are they in the, a handful? Are we talking 6, 7? Are we talking dozens? How many productions are underway right now that you know of?
I'm currently on, I'm on 3 series television programs right now. I'm prepping for a feature. There's another feature coming after that. Plus, there's another television series on the heels of From that I'm not allowed to talk about. Right. But yeah, and so also Sullivan's Crossing. That's not my show, but that's a big series that's filming here right now. They're almost wrapped up, I think, maybe.
What does this signal to you about, this? And I'm not talking politics. We're not going there. But there was a time when there were changes, and those changes frightened off a few productions, more than a few. And then we had the pandemic. So we're back. You're saying we're back.
We are back. And weirdly enough, you can thank the pandemic for that in a large way. Not entirely, but it certainly did kickstart people's interest in Nova Scotia again.
When we talk about that interest, scouting locations, it's the people that you're directly responsible for helping provide. Tell me what your company does.
Well, I'm a casting director, and because usually, and I also do background casting. So I do principal casting locally, and I do background casting. Traditionally, in larger markets, those two things are not together. I'm in a unique position because it is a smaller market where I can do both jobs simultaneously. So I provide all of the local talent and flavor, and my job is to try and fill as many of these roles that are coming from these shows, either if they're from local producers or if they're producers from away. My job is to find them as many local people as I can to fill those roles before they have to go looking elsewhere.
This process, whether you're a member of ACTRA, the union that represents actors in this country, or you're a background performer, obviously there's a difference, and how you apply through the site makes a difference as well about what your chances are. Is that fair to say?
Well, no, it just depends. Well, actually, that is true. I do like to do open calls, which is a little bit unusual as well in this industry. Casting directors in bigger markets, well, generally, they just go to talent agents. They won't really talk to you or look at you if you don't have an agent, if you're not in the union. I like to do open calls and just let anybody can just go on my site for free, sign up, and they can do background or they can apply for an acting role. They can, I'll look at your audition. It's no skin off my nose. And sometimes we find people who are just kind of really talented and had absolutely no experience. So I think it's absolutely worthwhile to let people just have a go.
There is a bit of a trope that, out of work actors are people who work in restaurants. And the only reason I mention that is that, the service industry is finding it really hard to keep up with the demand. People are getting back to life. People are starting to re-engage and go out again. So I assume is that in any way affecting the numbers of people who are applying for positions either in background or in cast?
Well, I think those are two very different things. I think that when the pandemic happened, and certainly like actors traditionally try to find other means of employment that allow them the flexibility to do what they really want to do, which is work in film and television. But I mean, we're not a big enough market to keep somebody fully employed for an entire year, right? It's rare. So they would generally have like a job that allows them that flexibility to go and do a few days on a film or do whatever. And often a lot of those jobs were in the service industry. But I think that when the pandemic hit, a lot of people had to pivot out of the service industry. So lots of people went back to school, did other things, and now they're just not as available as they were when they were, when they had more flexibility in their other employment, right?
You say there's a lot going on and there's a huge demand. And is it specifically for faces of and people that they have not seen before? Is that the challenge right now?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of that, but it's also just the numbers. Because if we have, on any given day, 4 productions shooting scenes and they all need background performers or actors or whatever, we're all fighting over the same people now. And it's the same with crew as well. They're all fighting over crew. So, if you're the last person to get your foot in the door, then you're the last person just to, have access to the people that you want. You're going to be at the bottom of the list. So it's very tricky right now, especially with background, just trying to make the numbers for the scenes that they want.
And when you are running a business like this, how do you sell it to people? What do you tell them that they're applying for?
Well, it's different. I mean, if we're talking about background work, let's just talk about background work, because obviously if you're an actor and that's what you want to do, then, there are benefits to that. For background performers, it's a little different. I recommend that everybody try it just at least once. If you're not a union member, the money is not terrific. And I find that most people, when they start out, they're just curious. They're not there to make the $14 an hour. I think it's $14.50 now this year. For non-union cash background performers. So that's not super. But at the same time, I think there are worse jobs. So you go to a place, and you get to watch them make a television show from the inside out. So you're right there with all of the producers and the director and some of the cast, and you get to see it like firsthand. And also, if you're an actor, there's no better window on just watching people who are really good at this craft do what they do. If you have a front row seat to that, I think it's such a valuable experience. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to go again. Lots of people just love it, though, and make a lot of friends. And there's a real kind of community there of people who just do this kind of work all the time. And often, and that is where actors come from quite a lot of the time. We get a lot of folks who just get upgraded on set because the director likes the way they look, or they've been around for a couple of weeks and they're funny or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to throw that guy a line. And it often does kind of happen that way. And that's just in the best position for you to be if you don't have a lot of experience on your resume. Just throw yourself in the background mix and see what happens.
There's always great food. There are some rules, though. And I mention that because, pictures from people on the scene, that's a no-no. Taking candids or anything like that.
Very naughty.
Talking about the production.
Spoilers, right? So They don't want you to see the costumes. They don't want anybody to see the sets. They don't want anybody to see who the actors are that are in the thing and what they look like in their costumes, or any kind of like potential storyline leaks, right?
The other thing I see quite often is if you are accepted, there might be a need for you to be that you have to be there. that because if you're in some scenes, you might be called back for other scenes, and that's part of the process, though.
Yeah, well, that's a continuity situation, and like with any job, if I've hired you, you are expected to actually show up at the time. So, often what happens is we get people who sign up and I'm like, great. How would you like to go tomorrow? And they're like, okay, I'd go tomorrow. What time do I have to be there? I'll be like, well, I won't know until later today when they finish filming and then tell me what time to start tomorrow. That's all right. And then often I'll send the call time and it's going to be like 6 a.m. And they're like, oh yeah, no, I can't do that. I'm like,
yeah, it's a little bit frustrating.
But it says right in the casting call, could be very early.
And as far as having transportation, that's also another
and all that other jazz. Yeah. No, we need you to show up. We need you to read the stuff and then agree to the. Let's all just read it.
And I can vouch. It's a lot of fun. It is experience. There is a community. It's quite rewarding. I did this, like I had mentioned a number of years ago, in between two jobs, and I had some time off. And I said, "Well, I'm not working anyway." And this was a shoot in Lunenburg, and it really worked out. And I said, if I can make enough money to pay my Netflix, I'll be happy. And I think I earned enough to pay my Netflix for about 10 years. So all in all, it wasn't.
I mean, it really just depends on the show and the circumstances and but you can't play the game if you don't buy a ticket. So
that ticket's free if you go to the website, as we mentioned, the Hennessey Casting, fill out the profile, you put up some pictures, you give them some details, give you some details, and then wait for a quote unquote callback. Or is that what it's called if you're even in the background?
No. So what happens is you would, if you apply to, so we send out casting calls on the regular, you get those by email, that will direct you to log into your profile on our site. And then you'll see all the jobs listed there. And there's very specific. So we're doing this show or we're doing that show. And on this show, we need people on Tuesday and Friday. And we need the character description to be like adults from between this age and that age. And they're going to be diplomats, or they're going to be servers, or they're going to be, so there'll be some clues in there about what kind of types of people we're looking for. So you just look for something that's in your age range, that's in your kind of hit, right? If you look like a murderer, it's, there's going to be something there for you. But if you don't look like a murderer, then perhaps just stay away from those casting roles.
Right.
Murderer is pretty broad, I guess.
I'll be looking for a specific line. Again, it is a lot of fun, and I'm sure there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of people since you've been doing this who have had this experience. And what I guess would be, your final bit of advice for folks who may have thought about it and maybe just haven't done it yet?
Just do it once. Just do it one time. Just go and look. Go and see. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. And also, if you don't like it, tell me why. Tell me why. We always put on the bottom of all of our booking emails, if you had a great day on set, we'd love to hear about it. But more importantly, if you had a weird day on set, I want to hear about that and why. And is there anything I could do to fix that? That's my job too. I like to we advocate for background performers and people who don't have agents and things like that. We always want, and the productions want people to feel comfortable and they want them to come back. So we like to have feedback from people. Did they like it? Did they not like it? And why? And because at the end of the day, we need people to come back over and over and over again. So we're going to want to fix it.
Are you enjoying this job, this career, this trajectory?
Yep.
That's a short answer.
Yeah, no, I am. It's just right now and this time of year, it's just very, very stressful. And it's just constantly everything, all my devices, everything dings and beeps and dings and beeps and just constant. It's a lot to keep up with.
Well, we'll invite folks to visit the website and, as it says, get discovered or
take your cursor, darling, and see where it says get discovered and that little brown. Now circle around there violently for the viewers. This is the one you want to click on right there. And then you fill out all these jazz here. If you fill out the other one, it's the client profile. Right. That's if you want to hire me to do a thing.
Gotcha.
So if you are looking for a job, you want to click on the Get Discovered stuff.
Well, again, I wish you nothing but success. It's been a huge boost to our Canadian economy, or Nova Scotia economy, and I'm glad to see that there are folks back working in performing arts.
We are back in business. We just need more people now. So
which is it's kind of the sign of the times.
I know. It's very exciting.
Human resources challenges. Erin Hennessey, it's a real treat to catch up with you again, and I really wish you guys all the best and all the most success in the future. Now you can tell me about all those secret things that you're not supposed to.
Yeah. Okay. Just hang up.
Thank you for this.